Okay, hello everybody and welcome to another Friday webinar series. Tonight we have two distinguished members of our community and my laptop froze. Just a second. Technology, when it works, but when it doesn't. Okay, so for tonight we have two of our two of the best of our members of our community. One of them is Venedict Strishka, that I mentioned. Venedict Strishka, Chisinau Toastmasters Club, immediate past president, advanced communicator gold, advanced leader bronze, IP4. Venedict is currently coaching Best Odessa Speakers Club, have progressed from 10 members and 0 DCP points last year to 16 active members and 7 DCP points at the moment. Venedict has recently coordinated a speechcraft training and has led the Division Spring Conference organizing team. In his other life, he is a successful project manager, team leader, husband, and father of a toddler. The other speaker we will be enjoying tonight is Nadejda Mocanu, one of the founding members of Chisinau Toastmasters Club, DTM, VCTC4. Nadejda has mentored over 30 past and present club members, including club officers. She's now successfully coaching her second club, Best Odessa Speakers Club, together with Venedict. Her first club coaching experience was last year with Java Toastmasters. In her other life, Nadejda is leading a US government-funded program overseeing high-level experts assisting the agriculture sector, and proud mother of a young adult and not so terrible teenager. Yeah, I can read. Guys, at least I'm honest. That's the excuse I'm always using. Let's welcome Venedict and Nadejda. Venedict, Nadejda.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Actually, while you were reading, I just realized we have sent you that description a month ago or so. Well, now Best Odessa Speakers Club have 10 DCP points already.
I stand corrected. Thank you. Yes, for the entire audience, Nadejda has given me the description 1 month ago, and I did not manage to learn it by heart in that time. I'll try to fix that error by next time. Who wants to go first? Venedict, Nadejda?
Okay, let's agree from the beginning that we will ask Mihai to switch the slides. So we will use a word like Mihai, and Mihai will switch our slides. Okay, Mihai?
Yes, I'm here for you.
Okay, so let's train a little bit. Mihai, and you switch the slide. Okay, so today we noted 5 things to discuss. So the first point will be about the resources available from Toastmasters.org. All these resources are very important for every club coaches, and you have to know all of them. The second point is about next steps. Nadejda will present the point which called we have a diagnosis and it doesn't look good. What now? The third point is about building a relationship, about establishing boundaries, about formal and informal agreements. The fourth point is will be about communication strategies, and the fifth one will be about club coach support system. Sharing is caring. This point will be presented by Kalin Gila. During our presentation, I would like everyone who has some questions to address them in the chat. And as we are two moderators, or let's say speakers tonight, we will be able somehow to manage them, and we'll try to answer every single question during our presentation. So let's start the first point about resources in Toastmasters. Mihai? Why do I love Toastmasters? One of that points is that Toastmasters have a lot of documents available for free, which answers to every single question. Tonight I will present 6 documents, and I hope that after this webinar we will share the exact links to that resources. So let's start with the first one. Mihai? The first document is a simple 2 pages PDF file, but very important to start your club coach role. This document has 20 important questions, and they are going to fill in by the club you are going to coach. If they did that in a good way, you will have already a diagnosis for that club. You will know for sure what you have to do. Mihai? The second document is Moments of Truth. I'm sure that everyone here heard about this document before, but I will explain it shortly. It's like a pro version of previous document, but it requires some more preparation, some more people involved and so on, but it gives you a clear image about everything happens in a club. The next resource is the first class club coach. This document is like a guide for someone who wants to deliver training about club coaches. It answers to every single question. What is club coach? Why do we need club coaches? And ending with which benefits you give or get being a club coach, which skills you develop being a club coach, and so on. Mihai? Okay, the next document is how to rebuild a Toastmasters club. I loved reading this document because it answers. So I would like to recommend this manual to everyone who is an officer to every Toastmasters clubs, because it explains very well all the phases of every club. And if today you have a lot of active members, it doesn't mean that the same thing will be tomorrow. You have to understand which phases has or have every Toastmasters club, and how to rebuild a club if there were some problems. The next document is how to be a distinguished club. This guide explains very well what is distinguished club program. So it explains very well all the things you have to do in order to be qualified for distinguished club until president distinguished club. Mihai? Distinguished club program and club success plan. This document is a pro version of previous manual. 1 year before and until a year before, we received both manuals by mail. I don't know why this year we didn't receive them, because they are very important. So namely this manual, Distinguished Club Program and Club Success Plan, behind the fact that explains all DCP points every single club has to do, it has a place where you may write your own plan, and it requires you to set up some deadlines, some tasks to do. It has to be signed by every single club officer. So if you are a club coach, you have to make sure that the last two manuals are written and applied by every single officers from club you are going to coach. So these were the resources available for free in Toastmasters.org. We will share with you links after this webinar. And now let's move to our next point. And I would like to give the stage to Nadejda.
Thank you so much, Venedict. Thank you so much. So we have used all the resources, right? As Venedict mentioned, Toastmasters has more than enough resources to have a very, very good start as a club coach. So if we follow all of those resources, starting with the diagnostic tool, then our life will be a little bit easier. But, well, you know, the club wouldn't need a coach if everything was fine there, right? So after we do the diagnostics, we probably find ourselves in the situation something like, everything is bad, everything, they have to change everything. So fine, okay, have your time for panic and then get your co-coach. In my case, this was Venedict. Last year, it was Ilya Derkach. Have a coffee, a beer, whatever, nowadays over Zoom, and rank the changes you want your club to get through by importance. Because, you know, you are an experienced Toastmaster, but they have issues, so they have to take it step by step. For example, if one of my clubs, we decided together with my co-coach that the critical change, the tipping point was bringing the executive meetings, so the officers' meetings, to a better standard. Have an agenda, ask officers to present progress reports, assign accountability, ask for, you know, why things weren't done, how things could be done better. In another club, the tipping point was levitating around changing how the officers viewed the value of the membership dues. The officers themselves thought that $50 is too much for a lot of people. So they were really, really hesitating to promote the membership, paying the membership fee and becoming a member. Mihai, and I will ask you to move with 2 slides. So, yeah, we have the list. We want them to change, right? But please, please, from our experience, don't rush them. It doesn't mean that you have to just sit there, you know, like this and look at them decay further and further. No, but please give them some space, please give them some time, because you're most probably coming from a successful club. Your officers are active and they're doing their jobs, or at least the majority of them. Your meetings have good attendance, your members have steady educational progress, but they are lacking some of these steps. Your assigned club most probably is hurting in one of or more of those places. So it would be like asking a beginner to run a marathon in a week. We wouldn't do that, right? Because we know that they will, well, get sick in best case scenario or will die worst case scenario. Mihai? So how do we usually do this? Okay, we're hearing don't rush, we're hearing rank priorities, we're hearing things don't look good. In both cases, when I was coaching the clubs, what helped was identifying change makers. So who are the change makers? This could not necessarily be the officers. in one of our clubs, it was actually a past president who is now a simple member, who the current officers are viewing as a nagging old person, because he comes to meetings and he says, well, there are rules. Well, we have to do this. Well, we have to observe this.
Yes, I know how that feels. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
They've been telling me the exact same.
So, but I'm not speaking about your club. I haven't coached your club yet, but let's see. So what did we do? We were using a bag of tricks, and we helped that person, that very old member, gain his credibility. So we were talking with the president of the club, and we were asking them, but have you spoken to that person? Because he's with the club for a long time, and he for sure thinks this. And, oh, you know, we had a chat with that person, and I really like how he's thinking or his ideas. So little by little, we cultivated, let's say, this informal leader. We reinstated this informal leader because he really had great ideas. He really had, but over time, the club has just transformed into a social gathering where people would come and would not take care about having formal speeches, for example, yeah, or paying dues. So, of course, it was painful to hear that there is a problem. So, in another club, I was working directly with the president, and I was coaching them in getting their members and officers to be accountable, in asking for reports, because they were making very big eyes and they were saying, what? Asking them for reports, but they are volunteers. What do you mean? Are you crazy? I am not paying them a salary. How can I ask them for a report? And I was going home and I was thinking, okay, I don't know, but we're always asking for reports from volunteers. But it worked. So finally it worked. And by the end of my term as a coach, we had wonderful progress. And the president was feeling very comfortable asking for reports, very comfortable for assigning accountability. And we were all overall very, very happy. And this concludes my points about the working with the diagnostics. And I would like to ask Venedict on the floor.
Hi, thank you, Nadejda. Thank you so much. And now I would like to talk to you about communication with the club you are going to coach. I had it twice in my life. First time when I joined work, I was switched from a manager of one team to manager of completely another already formed team. And during this situation, difficult to manage that because I am a foreigner who are going to a team, a different team. And that made me to understand that either being a manager of another team or being a club coach develops a lot of diplomacy skills, because being a club coach means that you have to share your knowledge, to give some advice, but you can't go right and tell everything to them. You have to be very diplomatic in this process. This is why we have to pay a lot of attention to how we will communicate with them. At the beginning, when we started our club coach program with the DSS Club, we felt a necessity to agree on a communication plan. How often we will communicate, the communication channels. We spoke by Skype, by Messenger. We have a group chat in Messenger also. We had some calls, we had emails, and we agreed on how often will we contact each other, because it's important not to bother too much and not to get bothered too much when you are busy with another things. We agreed at the beginning, we understood each other, and it worked. So let's switch to the next point, Mihai. So I told you about diplomacy. So you have a lot of information you want to share with them, but you, in my opinion, you will not be heard if you just go there and tell everything. You have to change that, you have to change that, you have to change that. This is why we and Nadejda applied this strategy: praise, 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 improve, praise. For the beginning, we identified all their strong points. And I was surprised while mentioning them that they didn't consider them as a strong points. For example, the first one is that our club, which we are coaching, has a location for almost 10 years. And this location is for free. It means that they are brave because during this time they had a good behavior, and this is a strong point because the location has the same address, and this is a good point. Also, we understood that the whole board, after every single meeting, goes somewhere in the town and drink some coffee, some tea, and socialize. So they do team buildings every single week. Not every club doing the same. This is why this is a strong point, and they have to understand that having this practice is a good thing when you have to organize something. The team is already ready to fight because they have the same mind and the same ideas. After we found all the positive things, we started with the most important things, things to improve. And for the beginning, we discovered that the club didn't have prepared speeches. So we were focused on this problem and explained that impromptu speaking is very important, but without prepared speeches, they cannot develop their pathways progress, which is very important for DCP awards. So we repeated it every time, but didn't forget to end with another praise, because praise is very important. So this technique we applied worked so well, first of all, because we helped them to believe in themselves, to believe that they are a very good team and they had a lot of strong points. So everything is just to do. You have just to do, and that's all. Everything else is already done. Okay, Mihai? And the last thing about communication I would like to share with you is about follow-up talks. So we interacted in different ways, starting with one-to-one calls and ending with the meeting with the entire board. Somewhere we agreed on a lot of things, what they are going to do, because the main work is going to be done by the officers board, but not by the coach. Coach has his or her job, but not to do everything for that club. This is important to have a follow-up talks. When we agreed on something, we have to have a talk about that to see how it's going on. Are we on the right way or not? Should we talk some more about different subjects or not? We had a project to switch their organization for completing different Google Docs to switching to tmclub.eu platform. Until this autumn, they didn't use the tmclub.eu. They were okay to apply that. We talked about it, we agreed on everything, but in a month, while we had a follow-up talk, we understood that they didn't finish these projects. And after that, we decided to have one more meeting dedicated to tmclub.eu. And after that, everything was done. But if we didn't had that follow-up talk, maybe it would remain as it was before. But finally, we managed and we did. So let's switch to the next question, and I pass the stage to Nadejda. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Venedict. So what we have discovered, what's also important about the communication strategies with the proteges is setting boundaries. Developing a communication strategy together with the coaching plan is critical both for the proteges and the coaches. Because first of all, we know what to expect from each other, we know when we are expected to communicate, we know what channels we're going to use. Of course, we're not robots, and of course things change, but it's good to know. With Suceava Club, for example, we were having Zoom meetings every Friday at 1 p.m. And if something changed, of course, we would let each other know. But pretty much we were having weekly meetings, at least with the president. So we knew that if it's Friday, we should clear our agenda. Another component for getting the message through is what Venedict touched upon, is letting them know, guys, we are your coaches, yes, we're here to help, but you guys are expected to be doing the heavy lifting. We were very clear saying that we will share the experience, we will find relevant suggestions, we will do follow-ups, we will tell you how we solved similar problems, because we discovered that problems are the same across the borders. So yes, we are here to help, but it doesn't mean that we will do things for you. And this is where Venedict's follow-up talks and insisting on the follow-up talks were very, very helpful. For example, when he mentioned that our club didn't have a lot of prepared speeches. At the beginning, we did the diagnostics and we did not see that issue because, it was somewhat hidden. They didn't want to recognize it. We were not attentive enough. We were working remotely, which, by the way, we were doing this for both clubs. So both Suceava and Best Odessa Speakers, we are not in the same town. One is in Romania, one is in Ukraine. Venedict and I, we are in Moldova, but it worked very well. But because we were remote, because we were not able to go to every meeting physically, this has slipped. But we were seeing 1 month goes, and there is no DCP progress in educational goals. 2 months go, and there is no progress for the educational. And at about the 19th week, I started being really, really, really tingly. And I said, guys, I want to see your agendas. Give me your agendas for all of your meetings. And it wasn't, I'm lying to you. It wasn't 19 weeks, it was 2 months, because these guys are having meetings twice a week. So they're having meetings both on Saturday and Sunday. So analyzing the 19 agendas, I have discovered that 90% of the agendas didn't have prepared speeches. Well, boom, you know, there's your sickness, there's your problem. And it took Venedict and I a very, very long time to convince them that prepared speeches are important, that they should have at least our first goal. Remember, we were saying, take it slow, don't rush. We were saying, okay, so our first goal is to have no meetings where we have only table topics. We have to have at least one prepared speech. So they did it. And now, as we shared in the beginning, you know, the Best Odessa Speakers Club has 10 DCP points, out of which 6 are from the educational awards. It did take a long time. And part of the communication strategy is also about the importance of letting them know that it's not going to be rainbows and unicorns all the time. Because there are issues that we're here to solve, everyone. And while we won't be doing it in a dictatorship way, we will be saying some feedback. We will be giving some directions, maybe. Maybe sometimes we would just say, guys, you know, I think it's really simpler for you to do what I say and then tell me what you felt, rather than asking me for a lot of explanations. That didn't happen very often, but sometimes that's necessary. So one of the parallels that we came upon was, well, imagine your hand is broken. You're going to the doctor, okay? So the club coach is somewhat like a doctor. You don't want the doctor to tell you, hey, you know, everything is fine, go home, everything is fine, you will be able to play basketball tomorrow, because your hand is broken, it's dangling there. You would prefer the doctor rather to tell you, hey buddy, your arm is broken and I can put it back, but number one, it will hurt, and number two, it will require some changes of your lifestyle for the next couple of months. So when we got that message across to our proteges, it started being easier. And another takeaway from both clubs that were coached is that involving the whole officers team is always much, much, much better. So Venedict and I, we have been attending the majority of the officers meeting for Best Odessa speakers. We're doing it over Skype. We don't use video, we only use audio. We are, in the majority of the time, are just sitting there listening, making notes, and then maybe connecting with the president to help her to be a better leader. As a result of our eavesdropping, of our listening, we would then maybe have a sub-strategy of, let's say, okay, I think it would be nice to have a one-on-one with the Vice President for Education, or maybe Venedict should have a little bit more time one-on-one with the president, or maybe we should have a chat only with the president and the vice president for PR. So every case is really, really different, but constant communication and constant contact with as many officers as possible is what helped us tremendously, both with the Suceava Club and both with the Odessa Club. And I would like to end this part of the webinar with a call. You are a club coach, yes, this is true, and you are there to help them. You are there to get them out of some predicaments. But please, please, please take care of yourself. Don't forget about your life. Don't forget about your own club. Don't forget about things that you have to do, because yes, the club that you're coaching has issues. Yes, as I said in the beginning, it's an situation. It's sometimes everything is needs improvement. Everything needs change. But please make sure that you're okay. Please make sure that you're happy. And I'm guessing that this is one of the reasons why we were chatting with Colleen, and we were discussing about the possibility of creating a community, and especially now when we're taking so much into the online domain, having this community that would help us. Well, you know, sometimes maybe just complain, sometimes ask for advice, sometimes see what others have done, that we can just copy and paste it, just replicate it to the other clubs. So Colleen, can you tell us a little bit more? And Mihai, can you please change the slide?
Good evening, everybody. So I thought about all of our club coaches in our district. I think we have close to 30 club coaches who are now active in District 110. And they are coaching the clubs, the weak clubs in our district, but they don't share the information, they don't share their experience, which is very valuable to the other club coaches or for the people who are interested in becoming club coaches. So the idea is to create a club coaches team or committee or community, whatever we are calling it, in which we can meet together and discuss about our experiences, put questions, present some interesting situations. What should I do in this situation? Knowledge sharing. Okay, let me tell you exactly what I experienced when I coached the club X, and I think maybe you can try also to do it with the club Y. And right now, I would like to start a small debate about how we should create this community. One idea is to create, I don't know, a Facebook group or another form in which we can put questions, and also to meet together periodically. My proposal is to meet and discuss about club coaching, role and responsibility, and current issues monthly. So we should have a monthly meeting or webinar, I think meeting, in which club coaches can put questions, can share their experiences, and feel that they are being part of a community. So how do you see this club coach community being built up? How we should communicate? How often? Do you see it as a Facebook group? Do you think it is useful? I'm launching this idea to all of you.
Colleen, can you repeat your last, so you said Facebook or?
I don't know, maybe there are some project management tools, but I don't think they're online tools, but I don't think they are very useful in this case. For example, Trello and Asana, but they are for project management. But a way of communicating, I don't know, maybe a WhatsApp group or a Facebook group moderated by the club coaches committee chair, or maybe by the club growth director. So
should we write in the comments?
And also you can unmute yourself and speak. I think it would be much more useful to really speak. Do you think it is useful? How do you think
I can go first and tell you that for a Power Squad, we experienced with pretty much all communication forms. And okay, so we had WhatsApp, and that worked tremendously. we had Facebook group, and that worked as well. Maybe not as well as WhatsApp. I don't know why. Maybe because more people have WhatsApp on their phone, since it's the only option. Not everybody has Facebook Messenger. We experienced one of our internal company chats, and that worked as well. Again, not as well as WhatsApp. But when we tried to learn a lesson from this, we decided that it doesn't really matter how we communicate as long as we stay in touch and everybody gets the information in time. Even if someone may not answer instantly, they do know something is there. So I think the platform is a little bit less relevant as long as it works for the group.
Based on the discussions that I had individually with the club coaches I'm appointing, there were some who spoke about being left alone. Okay, I'm a club coach. I will coach this club, but my personal feeling is that I'm left alone to help the club without somebody forwarding me the materials, somebody help me with these problems that I'm having with this club. And this is why I think that we should create this club coaches team and community. Thank you, Mihai.
There is a comment in the chat. Perhaps we can expand later on the reasons you have identified that coaches are sometimes unwilling to share their experience.
Yeah, usually they are not asked to share their experience. And I think that most of them would gladly share. It's just an opinion, of course, we didn't ask them. But in the next days and weeks, I think I will contact the whole active club coaches in the district and maybe send them some kind of survey to see exactly how they are wishing to create this club community, if they wish to create a club coaches community. Of course, it would not be mandatory, but those of you who really want to participate, to share your experience, are welcome to be part of this community.
Sorry to interrupt, Kalin. On a different group, which is not Toastmasters related, I think we found a way. We found a way to make things work in terms of knowledge sharing. So the way that we found to work very, very well is to combine a Facebook private group with a WhatsApp group chat. Reason being, everybody stays in touch via WhatsApp, but anytime you want to actually share something in writing and make it available long-term, you will use a Facebook group. So that may be one of the proposed solutions.
Okay.
Mihai, I would agree with. Hi, everyone. I would agree with you because having a Facebook group, but a closed one, and mainly having only the people who are part of this club coaching process. So as Kalin said, like 30 people, and agreeing on the rules of information to be shared there, and having a notification on WhatsApp or Messenger that we posted that thing on the Facebook group would be really reasonable, because truly saying right now, my Facebook page is totally overwhelmed with tons of notifications, and I'm losing lots of important information for myself sometimes. And at the same time, if it's too much chatting in a WhatsApp group, that's bothering as well, because when you have a few communities you are part of, it's too much. So it's really important to have it balanced, like a meeting once a month, not more, and having short notification and really useful information to be shared on the Facebook group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that the combination between having a group, so having a way of asking quick questions. Okay, guys, I'm experiencing this bad situation or this issue. Can you please help me? What did you do in your club? Did you experience the same situation when you are a club coach?
Or I'm experiencing this success. Why only issues?
Of course. Usually people are asking questions when they get into trouble or whatever. Well, yes, of course. Of course. So do you think it is reasonable to have a monthly call for all the club coaches? Of course. They are invited, but it is not mandatory to participate.
Yeah, we can start there maybe.
Having a monthly meeting is always nice to have. Problem is, it's very, as I found, it's very, very difficult to have, to find a good time for everybody. So the way, again, I'm speaking from different experiences here. One thing that apparently worked very well is having a chat with a group chat with all the members, and whenever something pops up, you don't postpone until the meeting. You just type in the chat, "Hey guys, I want to ask you something about this." Someone will answer in an hour, someone will answer in a day, but they will answer. And if at the end of the day you want to make a lesson learned out of that, publish it on Facebook. If you want to have a poll, again, we can have it on Facebook. That way, I think it's much easier to allow people their flexibility, to have flexibility over their time, and yet have everybody engaged. I'm not saying no to a call. All I'm saying is that every single work day that is, someone in a club has a meeting. So Monday to Friday are toast. Well, Monday to Tuesday to Thursday are toast. Fridays you are here, and I don't want to hear anything about anything else about that. On Sunday, you have Lucas, who has now some webinar series, and Saturdays. Well, Saturdays might be an option, but my better half might not agree with that. She might not allow me to stay here 7 days a week. So again, that's just an opinion.
Yeah, which will be the alternatives?
As I said, just have a group chat and constantly talk in there. Have engagement constantly.
Okay. Good
I
option.
think we
Or maybe having additional discussions, but more individually, like groups. Like I know, for example, how well Nadejda and Venedict are dealing with Odessa Club, and I'm coaching remotely as well. So sometimes I'm dragging Nadejda. How did you do with that or that thing, and how did you deal with that issue? And I have that issue. Sometimes after our physical meetings, we were doing that while I was driving her home, getting stuck for an hour of discussions. So maybe knowing the specifics of coaching to have this monthly but topic-oriented style discussion. So the ones who need this discussion to join it. Because if you really need to discuss a specific topic, you'll find time for it.
Kalyan?
Yes.
There's also an interesting idea. We have explored it internally, like Margarita just mentioned. We are just discussing, the coaches from Chisinau, who does what successes they have, what issues they have. But Venedict has an interesting copied idea from the stand-up comedy. They have their buddies, so they don't have coaches, they don't have mentors, they have buddies. And this means it's someone who is the same as you, does the same, but you just, you just tell each other ideas, you just discuss things, and in these discussions, you may find an interesting solution. So maybe just having a proposal in the group or in the WhatsApp and remind it over and over again, because of course you cannot force people. I mean, if Anna doesn't like me, I cannot become her buddy, and I know that's why I mentioned you. But if our characters are compatible, if our stories are similar, then we would become very good buddies. And it really, really helps when you can actually go, especially when you are a new coach. I mean, this year I am pretty well situated, but last year when I was coaching for the first time, I have to tell you, I was lost. I mean, I was using a poker face and I was pretending that I know a lot, but every time when I was about to have a Skype call or a Zoom call with Chava, I was drenching in cold sweat. I was really, really afraid that I would say something wrong or I would suggest something wrong. So it's really useful. I think that this buddy system would be really useful to pair a new coach with an experienced coach.
Okay, I just taking some notes. Okay, thank you. So for me, it is enough. I don't know, Mihai, we are on time or?
So given the fact that we had some webinars that took a bit longer, we decided to extend the time for the invitation. So now, according to the invitation, we still have about 38 minutes. That said, we do not have to use all of them, but if we want to, the time is there, and everybody should know about that.
Okay, so I propose to continue with the webinar if we have other points.
We don't have anything more for tonight because we consider this would be enough for the first session, but we would really love to hear maybe the experience of the participants. Maybe there are already some questions or some comments about the coaching experience so far.
Hello, I'm Alina. Thank you for sharing your wonderful experience. I'm from Ukraine and I know Odessa speakers well because I used to be area director, and that's exactly problems they had as you were facing. But right now, they also told me that they are doing well, and I haven't seen it because I live in Kiev, but they said that improved significantly. Right now, I'm assigned as a COMA mentor, another Ukrainian club. Me and my club's mates, we are together. But the problem is that this club is really experienced. They have list members, but they have a small community of people who've been together for a really long time. And I don't know how to introduce myself. Like, they know me well, but how to appear and say, I'm your coach, I'm here to help, how to, build this confidence, get their trust. That's what I'm struggling with right now.
Would it be possible to ask the area director to make an introduction?
Actually, they know it, they assigned it, but you mean official introduction?
Yes, officially, like let's go for a coffee, or maybe the area director, since this is such a serious club, right? Since this is but I mean, okay, they are serious, but you have been appointed a coach for a reason. They are serious, but they're probably not exactly serious if they need a coach. So they still need support. And in Toastmasters, we very often say, because this is a common misunderstanding, very often they would say, oh, if you didn't have more speeches than the speaker, you cannot evaluate them. And then we say, nope, this is not true. A beginner can also give some very good points. And it's exactly the same in the case of the club coach. Even if they are very experienced guys, right? If they are there for many, many, many years, you as a fresh pair of eyes and your club mate as a fresh pair of eyes, following the procedures, following all of the documents that my colleague Venedict has presented in the beginning, you can still help them, even if that help is not coming as a top-down approach, and it shouldn't be like that. You can just go and you can just say, hey guys, can we just go through this process? This is what we need to do. Let's have a diagnostics, and let's ask the club members to do this, or the officers to do this, and then let's build a development plan together. So I'm thinking that in the case of a very experienced club, probably the best strategy would be friendly, but still pretend you know what you're doing.
Yeah, and I would like to add something on this topic. Um, First of all, you have to believe in yourself. It is very important. I really, let's say, love your area director, Artem Klassen. He has a lot of confidence, energy, and no one asks about his competent or not. I am sure that everyone is listening to him because he knows that he is doing well. I'm sure you also are very well experienced and you have to believe in yourself before going there. You say already that that club is experienced. You have not think about that. You have to think about the fact that prepared and you may do that, and it's important to have that this information in your mind. So think about that. You have to have power inside you and to believe in yourself, and that will help you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, guys. I see anyone would like to share their experience? Anyone else?
Maybe I have a question. How are you dealing now with the coaching clubs while clubs are going online? And for strong clubs, that's easy because, yeah, you have a bunch of active people that are moving fast. But how do you deal with the small club, which was hard to move around when they were physically meeting and now they need to move to online, and that it's even harder to attract new members?
I'm not sure. Actually, no, let me rephrase that. I'm sure that my answer would have been very, very different half a year ago when we started working with the Odessa club, because I would now qualify them as a pretty strong club. Venedict and I, we managed somehow, and don't ask me how because I'm not sure how exactly we did it, but we managed somehow to make the club president believe that she can do it. And we were able to make her motivate her officers. So they developed to the extent that they held their first speech contest, and it was not a club contest, it was a contest organized for speakers from around Odessa. It was a big event, 90 people present, sponsorship collected, a lot of efforts. So now they are going online. Venedict and I were going to their meetings, and this is one of the motivators because they really like us attending their meetings. And we are encouraging them to attend other meetings as well. For example, on Thursday, one of their members came to the Chisinau Toastmasters Club meeting. For the very small clubs, I really don't know. I really think that the only strategy is to use the fact that this is the only way. Because for at least a month or two, speaking optimistically, if we want to go on, it's online. Maybe someone has a different experience. Will you share it?
I think our district director.
Panos is raising his hand, but you can unmute your microphone and just start speaking.
It's a matter of netiquette, at least to me, to not just be unmuting myself and jumping in. And again, how am I supposed to know that you have concluded that? So thank you for giving me the floor. Well, I can tell you that I might not be formally a coach. I'm a member of the Singapore Online English Toastmasters Club. I'm a member of the committee. And what I have noticed there, and the reason I'm asking you this question, is that there are different types of leadership within the club. So if you pair together a person as a president who is a go-getter and is willing to make the time after work and having a wife and 2 children to spend about 6 to 8 hours a day on Toastmasters and really aiming to achieve, and a VPE that is a 9 to 5 person, and that's it, and you have a 100% online club operating over several time zones, then no wonder that they have put the single European member, which is myself, like in the middle to diffuse the situation. So I'm currently playing more of the role of a buffer between the two. So I'm filtering the communication. However, I understand that this does not go very far along the lines of establishing boundaries, because I find myself being very involved personally. Also because I like the people, but I also strongly feel as a member of this club. So I wonder how can I slowly phase out my involvement? And it's an involvement, it's not an interference, because I was asked to. Because suddenly I see that, I'm like the middle connecting pipe. If I take myself out, at least if I take myself out too fast, things are going to go back to exactly the way they were before. I hope this makes sense. Thank you.
It makes a lot of sense, and well, we have not joined Toastmasters yesterday, so we have seen these kind of situations very often. And thank you, Panos, for accepting the request from the club, because you could have just said no, but you accepted it and you're doing it. And I'm guessing that if you are doing it, and if you are still alive, and if you're still smiling, probably this is the workload that you can carry. But for the phasing out thing, I think that I would really look very, very carefully to all of the members and see if maybe I can recruit a co-VP or someone who would be, and especially now that we're approaching the election times, maybe one could do it under the umbrella of, hey, the elections are coming, you could be a co-VPE, you could help, or maybe a whole team, who knows? Maybe there's someone who is technically savvy, who can be the host of the meetings. Maybe there's someone, so because you are, Panos, from what you're saying, you are doing the job of 3 people.
I came up with this, the club came up with this proposition, and guess who is now co-VP membership, deputy VP, and host?
Yeah, well, so let's find people one by one. Let's find them. So because now you are like a single man orchestra.
Well, no, the president is doing a lot more, and the co-VP, formally set as co-VP from the US, he's a very experienced member. So the club is working fine. It's just that the goals are not common. The split of the work is not even. So in a way, if you view the whole thing as an equalizer, because the equalizer, you can set it just right, but that doesn't mean that it's in the middle. It sounds right, but it's not always in the middle. So there are some parts that are just way up and some parts that are way down. Still the music comes through. So we're not in a way, it's a learning experience for me, because I've learned how to say no. So I've said no to several things already, but I'm doing those parts now because I enjoy them. But I wonder if this would be described as an optimal way to be doing those things.
Are you into mentoring?
Oh, heavily. Cross-district, cross many things.
Well, inside your home club, inside the Singapore club.
I have a mentor from Malaysia, correct, but he's let's just say that after the first few times we engaged, he told me that he thinks I'm doing good. Which...
No, I mean your mentees. Do you have mentees in the Singapore club?
I do not have mentees from within the club. No.
This is what I'm doing, and this can work for you, or maybe it cannot work for you. I am a somewhat star Toastmaster in our club, so all of the people who come, they want to be my mentees.
No wonder.
So what I'm doing, thank you. What I'm doing is I am selecting them because I have to be able to say no, because otherwise I will be mentoring 10 people at a time.
Yeah.
So I am selecting those who are willing to take an officer role or who are already an officer. I am not coaching, I'm not mentoring beginners. We have wonderful qualified members who can do that. So so whenever people approach me, I'm telling them straight, if you are ready, if you're interested in an officer position, if you're ready to contribute to the club, I will mentor you. My mentoring is very intense because I am intense. So if you really want to change, you pick the right person. If you have doubts, if you already are thinking, I'm not sure, then probably we should look for another mentor, and I will help you. And then little by little, I am literally manipulating my mentees. I'm starting to tell them from like the second month of mentoring, okay, so let's see, what part of the officer jobs do you like more? What do you think you could be doing? Let's look at your workload. Let's look at your schedule. Let's look at your habits. Let's look at what would bring you pleasure. Let's look at what would develop you. And I've manipulated many people into doing that. And I am quite proud of this.
Okay.
On the question.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Karin, go ahead.
No. I was just asking if there are any other questions.
I have a question. How there are a lot of new members right now, especially with the online clubs. How do we prepare them to become coaches? Because it's a hard thing, and if you don't have the experience, maybe you want to help, but you don't know how to help. You don't have the experience, you have the energy. How do we prepare them?
Maybe Venedict can tell his story, because I kind of forced him to become a coach.
Okay. 2 years ago.
Venedict has left the building.
Yeah. Nadejda is my mentor, as you understand. She manipulated me. And this manipulation started a lot of time ago. But 2 years ago, she asked me, Venedict, would you like to become a distinguished Toastmasters member? I said, it is not possible. And today, I'm waiting the 1st of April to see how many members will have Odessa's club, because this is the last point to finish my coach program. I'm really impressed, but if you asked this question a year ago, I didn't believe it. So the last year, the same thing Nadejda did, asked me, how about your distinguished award? I said, okay, I have to be club coach. And she asked me, and what is the problem? After that, I contacted Kalin. We had a 30 minutes talk. And after that, identified the club from Odessa. It is relatively close to us, because it's just 118 kilometers. I was really impressed because the clubs from Romania are something like 300, 400 kilometers. It is very hard to reach them and much more expensive. Okay, I was pushed. I did this step, and after that, I realized that I'm afraid. I don't know what to do. But finally, I found the name of the club president. I wrote a message, and it happened just as a normal way.
So see, I let him do all the heavy lifting. I didn't lift a finger. He contacted the president.
Yeah, and she was so nice, and we spoke a lot. We identified the way how we will work together, and she was so open. I didn't have a connection with the Ukrainians until last year, and I was a little bit afraid because there's another culture. Are we compatible? But after that, I found that they are so cool and they are so open. I was surprised, and I got a lot of satisfactions and a lot of good experience after that. How to motivate others? I don't know, maybe to speak about what the others experience, and that's all.
Okay. And I think that we can close the webinar. There are no questions, no ideas.
Okay, then I suggest we don't take this any longer unless we have something something to share. I see Anna agrees with me heavily. Yeah, someone wants to go sleep or do other Friday evening things. Okay, guys, thank you all very much for joining. Thank you very much, Nadejda and Venedict. Will we see you again the last Friday of April again with Nadejda and Venedict? Say yes.
If you'll have us, yes.
No, I will have you. Now, as I was asking the audience.
Oh, of course.
Okay, so exactly the last Friday of next month, we will have Venedict and Nadejda again with the second part of this talk. Thank you all very much for joining again. Have a great weekend and stay safe. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Stay safe. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Wash your hands.
Thank you. Bye.